Henry H. Georgia, come on up, please.
Thank you, Ali, for your service and all that you do for this wonderful program we have. And I want to thank all the speakers. It's great. This is for Kurt. Kurt, I did chat at you, and you use the term gnosis, and I've read that there's different forms of that knowing, coming to know, and gnosis, epignosis, and I read it in the Greek Bible, but I really wanted to talk offline with you about it because you said some things that really was really enlightening to me that I've not heard, and I've been around a minute, and I really appreciate it. So can you just talk a little bit more about that knowing from that root word of knowing, and how you use it in your talk? Thanks.
Yeah, when I say that, I'm saying like there's two types of knowing, right? There's intellectual discourse, analytical thought. So that's one type. And then when I say gnosis, I'm speaking from a knowing, experiential knowing. It's very hard to talk about. You could say like one of the things that really spoke to me was some of the Gnostic text, and one of them was the Gospel of Thomas. And there's a statement in there, and Ali touched on this. It's one of the statements is, "My Father's kingdom is spread upon the earth, and men do not see it." See, like there's a knowing that thy will is being done. It's happening right now. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. We're in the midst of it. This is presence. This is being. This is kind of what I'm throwing out there to articulate that. In the big book it says came to believe. I think that's what came to believe means. Came to believe means not a belief system, but it's like I said, it's a faith. And faith is, not what we think it is, or the way I articulate it is, it's a modality of perception that gives reality to this great mystery. It's like I know what it is to eat ice cream, but until I ate ice cream, I didn't know what it was. I could believe it was good. You told me it was good, but until I tasted this ice cream, I didn't know what you were talking about. And my problem was I tried to believe things I didn't believe. I tried to believe things I was supposed to believe. And it never bore the fruit that I'm talking about. So, I mean, that's about as much as I can say on that, really. I mean, I'd love to have a conversation with you here.
Thank you, Henry, for the question. Perhaps you could put your number in the message for Henry. Thank you very much. Okay, Pammy, I want to call on you, but I need your video on, please, before I call on you. So I'm going to go with Lana first.
Hi, everyone. Lana, alcoholic. So grateful to be here. Good God. Good God. That's all I can say. This has been the best thing that's happened to me in a very long time after Zoom. And my question is this, because for me, it's all about your experience, strength, and hope, and I want to know something that anyone has gone through recently, a struggle, right? And how you got through it as a result of these steps. What was your experience? How did you work through it? Because a lot of people say, well, I just gave it to my higher power and all is well. That is not my experience. It's never been my experience since I've been in this program. It's never been that easy. So if you could give me some nuggets, as Teresa likes to say, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Please feel free as the spirit moves you, whoever. More than one person can answer too.
So my name's Robbie and I'm an alcoholic. And thank you. Great question, Lana. I just want to share this one thing. I think being in the middle of Alcoholics Anonymous is the start, right? That's the start, right? So being directly in the middle of Alcoholics Anonymous 13 years ago at 25 years sober, I went through a divorce, okay? Ripped my world apart, ripped my world. Forget about the material things. I'm speaking all over the world, right? I'm very active. I'm General Service Board of Alcohol. I'm traveling all over. 25 years. This isn't supposed to happen. I was hiding what was going on in my relationship and my marriage, right, Lana? And I was just hiding it. And then it came to a bubble and I just couldn't do it no more. And I had to know when to fold up, and I folded up, right? So I had a speaking engagement. I had to go actually lead a retreat, right, Lana? And I'm going through a divorce and my daughter's not with me. And what am I going to do? I talked to my sponsor, and my sponsor said, go and carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous and bring God with you in everything you do. And I went. And during this retreat, as the retreat master, it's as if the retreatants, 125 women, by the way, nursed me to recovery. I had an experience with 100, and instead of calling the retreat and saying, you know what, I am so sorry, I cannot make it, and bring up an excuse or even tell them the truth. I noticed what I said. I was sponsored. I was in the middle of AA. I had a retreat to lead, and you know what? And God knew that. Why am I going to get in the way of God, Lana? And so I went, and I had to remember, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, right? And the wisdom to keep going, man, right? And I kept going, and I went to that retreat, and I had a wonderful experience. And of those 125 women, I probably have 100 of them now that I have a relationship with. And as Kurt was saying, in an experiential way that I would never had if I went in faith and I did not believe the 12 steps. I trusted God. I walked in faith. As Kurt, I didn't just talk the talk. I decided to take a walk. Kurt talked about, I'll end with this. Kurt talked the difference between belief and believing in something and having faith in something. I can't have faith in something until I do the work. And so because I did the work, I can now tell sponsees, I don't care what you're going through. I don't care if somebody died. I don't care if somebody just committed suicide. By golly, if you got some work to do it, and God will intervene.
Thank you, brother. Anyone else move to answer that question? Difficulty in your life, alas, in sobriety that really taught you to a bigger place of surrender? Calvin was waiting. Calvin. Hold on, let me unmute you. Go ahead, brother.
Still muted. There you go.
Hello, everybody. My name's Calvin, and I'm still an alcoholic. And it's really interesting, Lana's my wife, so we've been through a lot of things together. And so as we have grown together in this program, I wasn't going to say that because she is my wife, right? And we heard it over the situation, over situations we have been through. But we know that we'll get to the other side of it. But that still don't stop that hurt. I got to travel that path of hurt, the uncomfortability, because I didn't go as a kid. Like I should have went through these little hurts when I was a kid, but I didn't. I ducked them with a lot of other stuff. Now I'm going through pains of just growing up and handling the responsibilities like an adult and feeling the feelings I never, ever dealt with as a young man. So what's happening now is I catch it now. So now I know it's okay and it's normal that I will be all right. And actually I'll be stronger for it. But I got to sit in the uncomfortability. And we as alcoholics do not like being uncomfortable. We want to duck pain and uncomfortability with everything we got. Sober or drunk, you know what I mean? But once I find out I have to survive the pain, the uncomfortability, I'll be okay. Thanks, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. I think this question is so important and so deep. I'm just going to put the other two speakers on the spot anyways. Alice, please.
My name is Alice. I'm still an alcoholic. And Lana, I love you. What a great question. I think one of the things that we do in Alcoholics Anonymous that's a disservice to the fellowship as people have been around for a while is we're not always as public about the pain and it leaves, I think, new people feeling like, oh, there's a point that you get to in your recovery and then like it's all puppy dogs and cotton candy. And I've had a lot happen, right? And so I want to be brief. Like at 2 years, I was with my sister and her spirit left her body. Like at 13 years, my aunt that raised me left. I've had financial challenges. I've had professional disasters. And 2 years ago, I decided to leave a relationship that I knew that I should never have been in. And it felt like I was literally peeling the skin off on my face. It was really, really hard. And what I've learned is that if I use all three sides of the triangle, right? The fellowship is super important to me when I'm suffering. Man, I love the fellowship when I'm suffering, right? The book people are like, oh, recovery, like poo-poo the fellowship. No, those slogan people will show up, man. They'll bring you some food. But I also have to use service to get out of myself. And then I have to use the tools that I have in recovery to like work through it, to see what did I do to put myself in this position? What are my self-limiting beliefs? How can I learn from this to improve my relationship with God and to not make that mistake again? I'll say this and stop. I gave up sugar and I was like 32 days and I was like, well, I'm going to give up sugar until Thanksgiving. And then, right, Thanksgiving. And then after Thanksgiving, like, oh, it was my birthday and oh, then it was Christmas. And now I got to figure out how to give up sugar again because I lie to myself and tell myself that I have the capacity to do things that are beyond my skill set. And they sometimes put me in a position to get hurt. And while that's like a lesson, it also is an opportunity to grow. And I love you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, Derek is here. Okay, Derek, would you, if something's coming to you, answer that question? If not, that's all right, right?
Yeah, Derek's still alcoholic. To speak to her question, for me, my experience is that exactly what Robbie said, is that I stay in the middle of the herd. When Dr. Yvonne Palmer died of a motorcycle accident, what I didn't share with you all is who she was to me and how much she meant to me. She's the first woman that I ever loved that I never had sex with, that I never had a romantic relationship with. I didn't even understand that I could love someone. I mean, I knew women and I could like you and care about you, but if we wasn't sleeping together, I didn't know how to love you. And she was just the most amazing spirit. And I was next to her on another motorcycle when she had her accident. I was on the freeway giving her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation before she died. And it tore a hole out of me. And because I had a sponsor, because I had sponsees, because I had worked the steps, because I had been a member of this fellowship, when I could not physically reach out, people like Bubba, Daryl, I don't know if he's still on here, but Bubba would reach out to me and check on me. And the fellowship wrapped their arms around me and nursed me back to the rooms because I was broken and I didn't have the capacity to fix what was wrong with me. And I realized that these cliches we hear around here, shit don't mean nothing to you till it means something to you. It just doesn't. All these cliches don't mean anything to you till they mean something to you. I know what it means one day at a time because I had to do it one day at a time. I know what it means to be in the middle of the herd. I know what that means. I know what that feels like to stay out of the result column, leave the results up to God, to do the footwork and leave the results up to God. Those are the things that carried me through those times. And I'm going to share this really quick with you guys. Faith in God and reliance on God are two totally separate things. there's a lot of people that believe in God and have faith in God, but they don't have reliance in God. What does that mean? That means I'm relying on you to do what you said you could do. If I took a wire and strung it between two telephone poles, and there was a guy with a wheelbarrow on one side, and he pushed the wheelbarrow across the high wire and he made it, and he pushed it back across and he made it, and he looked down at all of us and said, hey, do you have faith that I can make it back across? All of us would say, yeah, I believe it. I got faith in it. But if you're relying on him to make it back across, get your ass in the wheelbarrow. That's the difference. See, that means if you in the wheelbarrow and he don't make it, if he don't do what you think he can do, something's going to happen to you. If God can't do what I'm relying on him to do, I'm in trouble. So my reliance has to be in a power greater than myself, not just my faith or my belief. I have to be relying on him. And it sounds like, Lana, you guys have a situation that you are relying on God, and just trust that God will do what he said he would do, and that everything is all right right now. It may not look the way you need it to look, and it may not turn out the way you think it should turn out, but know that God is in charge and everything is all right right now.
Thank you very much for that beautiful question, Lana. Carissa, would you come on up, please?
Okay, I have a question. Teresa Alcoholic. I would like each and every one of you to answer this. I'm sure you've heard the story about the dash. I would like you to tell me about your dash. And the dash is, look at all this. What the hell, dash? Woman asked me once, Teresa, tell me about your dash. Well, on our tombstone is the date that we're born and the date that we die. And in between is our dash. Touch a little bit of what it would sound like. What would your dash sound like before you came into the rooms? What would people say about your dash before you got here? And what will people say about your dash today? If you're not here tomorrow, what would they say about your dash? Calvin's laughing.
I'll go first. Kurt Alcoholic. They would say I'm a successful failure. That's all.
They would say that I made a way out of no way, that I did it by giving up.
Derek Alcoholic. They would say that I'm not who I used to be, and I'm still becoming what God would have me be.
And I think the dash is that, through God's grace, I've had a chance to turn my life around and become another man. When he talks about our book will be reborn, that's my dash. And I used to understand people talk about reborn. I had no idea. When my daughter sat at the bottom of the stairs and said, I want you to be proud of me. When my son told me, he walked across that parking lot and said, I am a man because of you, Dad. And I was an absentee dad. Dad is my dash. My mother told him, you can trust my baby boy. Or my father asked me when he was dying on his last breath, asked me, Cal Reuter, he called me. He said, is there a God? Because he's seen his baby boy restore his power to his change. That's my dash. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Teresa. My name's Robbie and I'm an alcoholic. And that's a tough question to ask somebody, because you're kind of asking us what would other people say? And so I don't know what they'd say about me, but I do know that I have a feeling that my little sister would say, my big brother, we got a call that he tried to kill himself one day. And then he got saved from a group of ragtag misfits and Alcoholics Anonymous. And somehow His whole life was transformed. And he made something of himself. And when he died, he not only loved himself, but he loved everybody else that he could get a hold of.
Beautiful. Thank you, Teresa. And if I may, they would say Alcoholics Anonymous makes brokenness beautiful. Man. Brokenness beautiful. Lisa, come on up, please.
Hi, my name is Lisa and I'm an alcoholic. You guys have been absolutely awesome. I'm so glad that somebody forwarded me this morning and that I got to jump on because it has made my day just, I mean, I have no word for it. I feel so powerful, so spiritual, so given a gift, you know. But I did want to share, Derek, I listened to your story and I had a 27-year-old son who was an athlete and not sick in a day in his life. And he developed non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but it was aggressive T cell. So there was absolutely nothing they could do. So we went through the radiation and the chemotherapy, which we never should have done, but I'm not looking back. But anyway, he got diagnosed in March and he passed away in December. Now, this was 10 years ago, and it's taken me a long, long time because I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And it's taken me a long time to understand why God took my son Ryan. And finally, I've come to the conclusion that my son had done his journey. You know, he was very involved in charitable organizations and going down to El Salvador and helping orphans and giving them light so they could get rid of their kerosene, which was causing respiratory diseases. So, I mean, for 27 years old, my son did a lot. And so I really do believe that God doesn't always do what we want him to do, but he does. He already has a plan. And his plan was to take Ryan at 27. So I miss him terribly. You know, it's been 10 years and I miss him terribly, but I think I just miss the physical body. But I've had a really hard time, you know, getting to the point where God didn't answer my prayers because he had other ideas. You know, and I hear, and I have to say this. I hear people that share about their kids and that they, you know, they prayed. And then their kids came back, you know, and it was like Derek was saying, you know, and I have to admit that I still get a little angry when I hear that. It's a terrible thing for me to feel, you know, but I just wanted to share that and see if there's anybody that can give me any more insight to, you know, losing my firstborn. You know, God does what is on his plan, not on mine. But you guys have been excellent, excellent, excellent messengers. And I just, if anyone's got anything to share for me just to hold on to, I would so truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa, Derek, alcoholic, and thank you for sharing that with us. And I am sorry for your loss. I did not understand at the time when my son was sick. I was not equipped to deal with his loss. I was still using, and I don't know what that would have done to me. When I lost Yvonne, I realized that for me, God does not take life. God gives life, and then he receives life back unto himself. And I got to a place with Yvonne's death that I realized that it wasn't the fact that God took her from me. God shared her with me. And when I was able to focus on the time that he allowed me, he blessed me to have her, that gave me so much comfort to realize that that was his gift to me. And it was not promised that she would be here until I was gone. She was such an amazing gift that God shared her with me for a period of time, and then he received her back unto himself. He didn't take her from me. He was gracious enough to share her with me and this world. Everyone who knew her knew how amazing she was, and she was bigger than this world. And I was so grateful that God gave her that period of time in my life to share with me. Um, and now it took me to a deeper spiritual level because I still feel her. I still see her. I've had a dream where it seemed so real that we were together. So it has opened me up to a whole different realm that no one could have told me. I feel differently about death than I did before. And I don't know if that helps you any. I know that that's what helped me, is that to understand that God doesn't take life. He just receives it back into himself. He gave it and he received it back. And I'm grateful to God that he shared her with me for that period of time.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing yourself. If one more person, if they move to comment on that, if not, we'll move forward.
You know, Lisa, I want to invite you to take my number and to call me. I can't add much more depth to what Derek has already said because that is my experience. I can share some personal experiences that I've had that has helped me move from this place where I really believed that bad things were happening to me. And now I understand nothing ever happens to me. Everything happens for me. And it's a huge shift that is a spiritual shift. And I'd be happy to talk about some of the things in my life that I carried as pain that over time I was able to receive as a blessing. So I invite you to call me.
Thank you, Alice. So we have maybe 5 more hands left. Please, no more hands up. We got another 15. Maybe we'll stretch for 20. I want to appreciate the speaker's time as well. Wes, my brother, come on up.
I'm an alcoholic. My name is Wes. My permanent sobriety date is June the 8th, 1979. And there seemed to be one amongst many things, but one theme that I picked from you folks today was that we had some long timers, old timers, those sponsors, those guys who were around. And just when that moment, that word was said, we had them. So I salute you for recognizing the long timers who have been with us all. And I want you to know you are the long timers that are coming up, and people, you'll be saying things to people as we all do. And that's because we're doing what we're supposed to do, and that's carry the message of recovery. I wanted to make a comment. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to let you know that I totally appreciate each and every one. And the choir sings, even when you're singing different tunes, it all sounds the same to me. Recovery. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes.
You brother,
Appreciate
Wes.
you, brother. Thank you so much, brother. Lars, come on up, please.
Thank you, Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Lars. I'm an alcoholic. I wanted to check in. I'm going to say a couple things, then I got a question. Let me thank the Fellowship of the Spirit team. It's a big team. I don't know, it's got to be 10 people, 12 people work this thing. Allie and Teresa and Mickey just come to mind. You guys are fabulous. And when you do these things, it brings out, and these speakers, I can't think of something other than their A game. You guys bring the A game. And let me think, Kurt, Robbie, Derek, Calvin, Alice, you guys just sounded so good today. And it's this blessing. What a blessing to have this, that we're able, we're all over there. I guess we're all in the US, but we're all over the country. I'm in New York, it's on there. And then we get to, I wouldn't hear you, a lot are in California. I'm on Ralph's meeting, never too early every Sunday morning, like was raised, which is, and people from all over the world on it. It's such a blessing. Let me just say that. So thank you. And it just, just one after another, it's just staggering, this message and the depth and weight of everybody today. I just heard this quote, if you're going through hell, keep going. Winston Churchill of all people, but just think, I think that came out of everybody. If you're going through hell, keep going. It's going to pass. And then I was thinking on that last question, which, which Derek beautifully answered, discussing Yvonne. It's like, and I went back to that page 419 and acceptance. I think Robbie spoke about it in the morning, but, we got to focus on the good today. I have a good day. When I focus on the bad, I have a bad day. So it's kind of the new pair of glasses, like Chuck Chamberlain. And focus on what's good, the perspective. Kurt, you're always speaking about the perspective. Yeah, there's the new pair of glasses. So Chuck started us on that. And I heard someone recently say new lenses, but for that perspective, change that perspective from if someone passes, the sadness about that, as opposed to I had them in my life, or someone loses eyesight in the left eye. Well, I do, but having the right, be thankful of that, things of that order. Then let me get and to try to do that gets me this question. So we've talked about the obsession of the mind. This is the obsession of the mind, allergy of the body. We have with our disease, and the fault finding. I think, Kurt, you get into this fault finding, never satisfiable. Derek did that. Mind, gets the new car, goes out of the dealership and sees a better car, better boat, better spouse, and how to grapple with this. And then when we get into what easily characterized primary character defects, resentment, selfishness, dishonesty, fear, they keep cropping up. I can hear from you guys, and I hear some of our strongest speakers saying that they have it all the time. How do you deal the way
You're muted.
Lars, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself, brother?
mute? So when those pop up,
Can you ask the question succinctly and briefly now? Because they may have forgotten what
do
the
it right now.
question is.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay.
How do you deal with that succinctly? My main way to stay spiritually awake, but when you see anger pop up, resentment pop up, to try to not go down a rabbit hole with it. Whoever would like to answer it. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, brother.
My name is Alice. I'm a grateful member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Ali and I share a love for Rumi as a poet, and I talked about that at a group level, and then people started sending me copies of poems, right? And one of them I love is The Guest House, and it's a direct response to Lars. I receive all things. They're all just passing through. None of them are permanent, right? None of them are permanent. And my job is to grow spiritually so that I can receive sorrow in the same way that I receive joy. Come on in. I'm glad to be alive to receive anything. Come on in. And so there isn't, I think, I'm going to get spiritually fit enough to not have these feelings. No, I'm going to get spiritually fit that I'm just glad to have any feeling. I'm just glad to be alive. Every day above ground's a good day. So thank you for the question, Lars.
Lars, I'll just chime in for a minute, Derek, alcoholic. I remember thinking that, I just wanted my life to be smooth. I just wanted it to be just smooth, straight across. I didn't want, the resentment and all that other stuff. I wanted to get to a spiritual level and just maintain that plane. And somebody pointed out to me, when you go to the hospital and you're having problems, they hook you up to that machine. It's called an EKG, and the line is going up and down, up and down. You know what that means? that means you're still alive. If the line is flat, that means you're dead. So I'm grateful when it goes up and when it goes down. And like Alice just said, it's all good. Bring it all in, because I'm here to experience it and I'm here to live it. Thank you.
And Lars, if I might say one thing, I'm Robbie Alcoholic. And I was recently in St. Lucia at a spiritual meeting on top of a mountain. And this dude at a retreat said this: we're like that person, right? On it, the train's going by and we're in our vehicle, we're stopped. You know, the thing's going to ding, 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 and the thing's down. We're just waiting. We're just waiting. And all these rail cars are going by. And guess what we do? We let the rail cars go by, right? Just let all the rail cars go by. Let them go. And when the things start coming back up and the thing stops stinging, we move on our way. Or do we get out of our vehicle and jump in one of those cars? Hey, I'm taking this emotion and feeling, I'm going with it. Here I go. Take me. No, dudes, relax. Let the rail cars just pass. Let the emotions pass. Let the anger pass. Don't even let it get to resentment. And then it's like, bye-bye. And we go our separate way. Real easy stuff, kind of. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Calvin. I'm still here. You know, it's just thank you, Lars, for the question. You know, I done read a lot of kind of books, basically, and especially spiritual books about spiritual men. Every spiritual man I've read about, way more spiritual than I can ever think of becoming. They all had pain. They all had struggles. Not a one of them didn't go through the pain of growing and changing. It's just what happens. It's a part of the process. Like growing up is painful, just like growing in the spirit. It's gonna be uncomfortable. So I really like when I can see, I look at Bill Wilson. Bill Wilson was a troubled soul right straight through. Right? He didn't catch a break straight through. He never was happy. He never felt peace inside. But he did his job. And millions of us are sober because he came here and did his job. So if I come here and I can do my job, and that's going to sometimes going to call for a little being uncomfortable, but I'm going to do my job. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Calvin. Thank you, Lars, for the question, brother. If you haven't experienced Rumi, as Alice was saying, boy, Rumi is a universe, man. Like 700 years ago, he's a universe. But I'll pass on this experience. When poetry are translated from a different language, it's hard to grasp. You can't translate it literally. There's an entire culture and history that needs to be. And I haven't found a better translator of Rumi than Coleman Barks. If you guys ever get a chance, read up on Rumi, read up on Coleman Barks, watch videos on it. And for all this right here, I'm gonna read that. Thank you for bringing this up. This is a Rumi poem by Coleman Barks, the guest house that she's talking about. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows, who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Mark UK, come on up, please, brother. Please put your video on. Mark UK going once, video on twice. Okay, Matt K, go ahead, brother.
Man Alcoholic, thank you everyone for their service and all who spoke, and Ollie, thank you. I just had a quick question for those that were speaking. How did you see your higher power play a part in your amends process? I'm on the amends right now, and just wanted to hear some of your brief experience.
I'll jump in. I don't want to take up too much space, but I'll jump in. I was asked this on Tuesday, and I can't do 9 without really doing 3. Because 9, I have to go face people that I have some fear around. That's the only way for people to have an effect on me, is for me to have a fear. And I can't do that unless I've really surrendered to God. Because if I've really surrendered to God, then God's got me. I don't have to be afraid of you. And so there's this, for me, a relationship between 3 and 9. I'd argue there's also a relationship between 9 and 11. Like, I've got to be willing to really be like, here's how I'm really feeling about this today. Here's really the delusion I'm in leading up to the amends process. And if I'm sharing that with my sponsor all the time, and I'm getting honest about what's really going on, the pattern of behavior that I'm in while I'm in this period of making amends, I can see myself and I can start making some adjustments about the attitude that I take into the amends process. So that's my.
Thank you, Alice. Anyone else want to jump in on that before we close off? No? All right.